What is up, everybody? Where am I looking here? Down here. Okay. It's been a little bit. My last video did pretty well. I'm just talking about like the new Blink news. Nothing else has really come up in the Blink camp, I don't think. But I still wanted to talk a little bit because you guys really seem to just enjoy me shooting the shit a little bit. Um, so I can definitely oblige to that. Just I'll say it now because not everybody watches to the end of the video. If you have topics that you want me to talk about, when I have a little bit of free time, um, just leave suggestions below. I'm always open to just talking about stuff, and not necessarily stuff that's too involved that I can just kind of crank out when I have some time, like in the car or whatever. But anyway, yeah, leave that below if you have any suggestions, or if something happens, you want to get my snap opinion on whatever. Maybe I'll make a quick video, maybe a long video, I don't know. But either way, today I wanted to just talk about some new music. um, there's a lot of great new music that came out recently, and some stuff that's coming out that I'd like to talk about. I actually want to adjust my note here. I actually wrote down some topics of discussion um, that I want to get to. Let me see here. Yeah, there's a lot of bands that have been coming out with some new stuff, and just want to give quick opinions on stuff, and definitely suggest stuff for you guys to check out because, um, I mean, I love hearing new music. I certainly am open minded to whatever you guys are recommending. If you got some new stuff that you think is worth checking out, maybe I can listen to that. Maybe do a quick review or something in a video. I don't know. I got a lot of time to listen to stuff while I'm at work or whatever. So that's always an easy thing for me to do, to crank out some videos. But anyway, the first one I want to talk about is a band called Cherie Amour. And I came across these guys um, because last year I was helping Alan from 4 Year Strong in the studio. I don't know how many of you know that. I have done some stuff in the studio last year with Alan, just kind of learning how to do some things. I was assisting him and setting some stuff up. And I don't know if I've really talked about it on my YouTube channel or not. I've shown some pictures on my Instagram over the last like year or so, and that hasn't really picked up in the last like year or so, um, or at least in 2022, because touring opened back up and he's been super busy. But um, this band Sharia Moore, I believe it was the first full length I was a part of with Alan at the studio, and I wasn't there for the whole thing. I was there for the first week, and then I was actually going on vacation, and then the week after that was their last week, and I was there for most of that. So just a first off, a lovely group of guys. Um, all four of them are really really cool, and the music is some of the catchiest stuff I've ever heard in my life. It was so catchy and fun and fresh. They call themselves like new punk, I guess, like a play on new metal from, the turn of this millennium or whatever, like around 2000. There was like, Korn and Limp Bizkit, and what they did to metal, Sharia Moore's kind of doing to punk, and introducing like some new flavors, some new ideas. And I think that's spot on. um, their new album, Spiritual Ascension, is finally out. It took about a year from when they recorded it to when they dropped it, and I've listened to it a bunch already. I'm in love with it. I think it's so fun. It's great to hear the things that I heard in the studio. I was I had a blast being there with those guys, and whether it was shooting the shit with Ronnie about Eddie Van Halen. He's a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. Or watching Trey play trumpet. I didn't know he played the trumpet. That was really cool. He played that on a song or two. I learned that trumpets have spit valves. I never knew that was a thing, but it makes sense. That was kind of gross. But yeah, lot of fun experiences with that whole session. I really liked it a lot. So definitely check out that album. Some standout tracks. I mean, really all of them, but I really like Low and Lean. That one is really fun, and it's got a lot of interesting elements to it. Um, Another one that I really like is Love Is Not Your Thing. That's the one that's got the trumpet in it. Yeah, the whole thing is fantastic. Um, Nextly, I want to talk about the new Bayside EP. I think they called it the Red EP, I want to say. Um, the first thing I want to say, I was a little upset that they had released two songs, you know, a month or two prior. And then they're like, all right, our new EP comes out tomorrow. And then it was just one more song. I was pretty bummed about that. I was like, oh, I was expecting, two or three more songs or something, not just one more song. So that I thought that was a bit of a letdown. That being said, there's some really good songs on there. What I'm blanking on the names of them, of course, because I didn't look them up. Strangest Faces or something like that. That one's okay. The second song they released, oh my god, I'm blanking on the name, but it's so catchy. Obviously not catchy enough for me to remember. Oh my god, I forget. That song, whatever the second song was, that one was amazing. I really really liked that one. That was probably my favorite Bayside song that came out in the last 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I'd like to hear a lot more of that. The lead guitar was really good, and then the song that came out on the day of release was pretty good. I think that one was probably my second favorite. That's the one I listened to the least. But yeah, that second one. Wait, what was it? What the hell was it called? Oh my god, this video sucks. I'm sorry. This got to be not very interesting to watch. It was called like good something. Good news or good. I don't know. Someone in the comments, I'm sure, will say it. I'm not gonna fuss about it, but it was a pretty solid EP. But the fact that they on release they only released one more song was pretty lame, in my opinion. I don't like the way they did that. Next, I want to talk about a band called DeSoto Jones. I learned about them because a friend of mine, Grant Henry Stemage, had shown me a band called Kiska out of Philly a couple years ago. He's like, oh, I think you might be into this band. And I know I've had them in my Spotify playlists that I've shared on like Instagram or whatever. If you go to my Spotify page, you can find my playlist that I update every now and then called Little Red Playlist. And I've put Kiska in there a few times, and that band has disbanded, and I don't know exactly, but some of, or maybe all of the members, I don't really know, have this other band that has actually been around for a while called DeSoto Jones. And they just put out a full length that is really solid from front to back. There is one song on there. It's actually the opening track called The Jackal, which has got to be one of my favorite songs to come out in the last few years by any band. I listened to it so many times over the last year or two because it was actually released as a single or like a 2-song thing a couple years ago. And they actually removed that from Spotify and put it on this album when they just released it like a week ago or whatever. And I love that song. It is fantastic. Great melody. I like the lyrics a lot. It's got a great story. And yeah, I highly, highly recommend checking that one out. Really, really cool. And they definitely don't get enough play for sure. Next one is a little out of left field, but this one is a band called Dragonland. They're a power metal band. I forget exactly where they're from, somewhere in Europe. and they have just been killing it for a long time. I really like them a lot. Their production is amazing. The last few albums have been incredible. They had an album called Astronomy around like 2005 or 6 that was, you know, all about like space and that kind of stuff, and super fast, melodic, great guitars, higher pitched metal singer. You know, that's what power metal usually is. They put out an album a few years after that called Under the Grey Banner, which kind of had vibes of like Game of Thrones stories, which was really cool. There was some other voices in there that kind of played characters that were cool, that were cool. And then yeah, this new album was, I forget exactly what it's called. It's something about like the power of the night star or something. It just came out a couple months ago, and it's still just another onslaught of just heavy riffs, fast, melodic. You know, really, really well done. Um, it's another like themed album. It's about like a space battle or something. I don't remember, but that one's really cool. Definitely recommend that one if you're into metal. Um, and yeah, not too much to say about that one. All the songs are really cool. Um, Paramore has a song that came out in the last like month or so. Snap Judgment on that. I do like it. I'm not a huge fan of the song, but I'm definitely excited that they're back together, putting music out. Apparently, the album comes out in February, I guess. Very excited for that. I'll pretty much subscribe to anything that Hayley Williams does. I mean, she does a lot of great stuff. Her 2 solo albums that came out over the pandemic were amazing. Both very different. You know, they got the very poppy and you know, kind of sad album, Petals for Armor, and then you have like the more folky Flowers for Vases, I think it was called. And I loved both of those. So it wasn't super difficult for me to miss, or it wasn't that difficult for me to have Paramore not doing anything because she was still doing stuff. But I am happy that they're back together. Taylor is a great songwriter, and Zach is a great drummer, and you know, he does a lot of great stuff too. So having them all together is great, and I'm happy to see they're touring again. I've been watching a lot of live clips, and yeah, the new song is really good. I'm definitely excited to see where else it goes. It looks like they're going in kind of a different kind of indie direction, I guess. I don't really have much to compare it to, but um, I don't know. I think it's gonna be great. So next, I have 4 Year Strong, one of my absolute favorite bands. You know, there's no denying that. They recently released a re-recording of their album Enemy of the World, which came out I think in 2010, I want to say. And a lot of people were confused about that. I actually knew this was coming because, you know, me and Alan talked a bunch at the studio about different things, and he said that I believe it was Warner Brothers. I don't remember who they released the album under. I think it was them. But whoever the recorder or the recording label was, they wouldn't let them re-release Enemy of the World on like vinyl, I guess. Like they couldn't do new pressings. They couldn't do anything with the rights of that album for whatever reason. So they pulled a Taylor Swift and re-recorded everything, re-recorded all the guitars, re-recorded all the vocals, drums, you name it. Um, and you know, it's newly produced. I believe Will Putney did it, I think Ellen said. And it's a great sounding album. I mean, I always liked the album. That was actually one of my favorites for a while, but the production of the original album I just really couldn't get into. Some of the songs just sounded really weird, and I didn't like some of the guitar tones on a lot of the songs. It just kind of sounded kind of mushy in my opinion, and I really really like the way that it sounds now. And there was a few interesting elements that they added this time around. Like for example, Josh is not in the band anymore, the keyboard player. So they had a guest singer on Tonight We Feel Alive, and that was a little jarring. His voice was very different, not exactly what I was expecting when I heard the song for the first time. I would have preferred maybe just Alan and Dan did something instead, but whatever. That's fine. It's a nitpick. But yeah, overall, I think a lot of the songs sound way better. It reminds me of when Rush remixed Vapor Trails, their 2002 album. That album originally sounded like a fat turd. And they had someone else just take all the recordings, remix the whole thing, and it brought new life to those songs. I'm liking some of these new 4 Year Strong songs way more than I ever did, just because of the way that they were remixed and redone, and they just sound like totally different songs. And I'm really happy that they did a bunch of the B-sides, like Cavalier. Really like the way they did that one. Listen, Do You Smell Something, which was actually one of the first, if not the first, 4 Year Strong song I ever liked. I remember people were trying to get me to cover some of their songs early on, and I didn't really like them that much. I wasn't getting into them, and so I was trying to oblige my followers, and that was the song that I decided to do when I found it on YouTube. I didn't know it was a B-side, and yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, really happy they re-recorded that album, and yeah, I think it's solid. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of any of their other stuff. Next, I want to talk about Joji. Joji is also known as Filthy Frank from YouTube. He hasn't done that for a long time. I've talked about Joji a little bit here and there, but that guy needs a tune-up. But yeah, the new Joji album dropped. He kind of started off in like the mumble rap kind of thing, and that's definitely not my thing. But just because I like Joji so much, just as a person, I kind of went along for the ride. It grew on me. I like the stuff, but these newer songs are like almost like soft ballad, like love songs almost, and I'm totally digging it. I really like the style. Kind of leaned into the direction that the last album went, Nectar, and that had some of like those ballady type love songs. I don't know. I'm just really digging it. I got to give it some more listens. I only listened to it once, I think. But that one's great. He released a single a couple months ago called Glimpse of Us, and that song is just beautiful, sad, and just so well done. I highly recommend checking that song out. Quick one here, Bret Mckenzie. He's half of Flight of the Conchords. He just put out a new album called Songs Without Jokes, and it's basically what it says. It's him just making music, not necessarily joking like they did in Flight of the Conchords. And they're great songs. He's like a modern day Billy Joel almost on this album. It sounds really good. I really liked it. Not something I'll probably listen to all the time, but it was really refreshing, to hear some more music from him, because I love Flight of the Conchords. Those guys are the best. Finally, I want to talk about Jakey. He goes by Nakey Jakey on YouTube. He's been around for a few years now. He's kind of going the Joji route almost, where he's kind of getting away from YouTube a little bit, which is very sad because his videos are hilarious. He does a lot of like video game related videos, where he just talks about different games and a lot, just different topics and stuff. Really, really creative videos. I love his process. And over the past couple of years, he's come out with some songs, maybe like 5 or 6 songs that were all really creative, like hip hop style. But he used a lot of like video game elements and certain things like sound effects and just super creative stuff. I really liked what he did. His lyrics were really good. I liked them, and he's just a funny guy, and I just can't get enough of him. I love the stuff that he does. And he was supposed to drop a new album this past February 2022, and it didn't happen. Something, just kind of got in the way, and everybody just assumed that the album wasn't coming out because now it's November, and nothing was happening, but he's like, hey, surprise, the album's coming out on November 18th. And there has been a single for this album that came out, I think it was last December, called Pine Barrens, and that's a beautiful song. I really like it. The music video is great. Definitely check it out. I'm going to link it below. And what is the album's called Rom-Com, I think. And I haven't been this excited for an album in a very, very long time. Like I said, he's just super creative, super fun, and the guy is just the best. I want him to have so much success. He's just that great. So hopefully you guys check out some of the stuff I suggested. I'm going to try to leave links for everything down below, at least a song here and there, just like a YouTube link. You could find the stuff on, Spotify, iTunes, whatever, I'm sure. But definitely leave me some suggestions down below if you want me to talk about anything specific. And we'll see where it goes. I like just kind of talking at the camera for a little bit. So let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble for 21 minutes. So I'll see you guys soon. Later.